Thank you, Lael. It's nice to see you. Can you talk to us a little bit about how your team is monitoring the situation in the Red Sea, and what is the level of concern right now about the potential for that to drive up prices and mess up the global supply chain?
Yeah, so the national security team is focusing on the attacks in the Red Sea area. We are very focused on the economic side, on monitoring potential effects on the U.S. economy. So far, we really have seen very little effect on the U.S. economy. Some shippers are taking alternate routes that is leading to longer shipping times, but so far that really hasn't had an effect on the U.S. economy. And again, as you can see here, the supply chain pressures measure that is the most comprehensive is down all the way back to pre-pandemic levels, which is due to all the work that this administration has done with the private sector on shipping, on trucking, on semiconductors, on a whole range of areas to get those supply chain pressures down.
Do you have a sense of how long before this becomes a bigger issue? Is it days or weeks?
So we'll continue monitoring. Those shipping lanes are more salient for other parts of the world, but of course we'll want to continue monitoring for any possible effects on the U.S.
Thanks, Lael. Looking at the report, it looked like rent was one of the big drivers of inflation. It was up 6.2% over the course of last year. What's your analysis about why rent continues to be a driver of inflation, twice as high as average inflation? And what is your outlook for the next year when it comes to rent, particularly since mortgage rates are still so high, making it difficult for people to buy?
Yeah, so the rent affordability and housing affordability generally is an area that really is salient for a lot of households as they sit around their kitchen tables paying their bills. Housing is a big one. We are very focused on housing affordability. We'd like to see Congress pass housing tax credits. The president has put them in his budget every year. Those have always been critical for increasing the supply of affordable rentals. We also have put forward proposals for first-generation home buyers to make that more affordable. Mortgage rates have actually come down over the last few months, so they've come down by about 1.25%. That will make a difference, but we're going to continue putting forward proposals and fighting to make housing more affordable, and we hope Republicans in Congress will work with us on that.
Without that legislation, do you foresee any relief in the rental market over the next year?
Well, certainly there are a lot of forecasts that do anticipate seeing those average rents coming down, but that's not enough. We need to take action. We need Congress to work with us on that.
Thanks. I wanted to ask about the tax negotiations on Capitol Hill, but first, just to follow on MJ's question, other than shipping time, what are the kind of real-time indicators that we should be looking at to see if there's an impact from what's going on in the Red Sea on the U.S. economy?
So, of course, there's been a lot of focus on oil prices. Oil prices have been volatile, but we really haven't seen an increase there. And as you know, retail gas prices are down about $1.90 and are now below $3 for most Americans at the pump. But that is such an important expenditure for all American households that we're going to continue to monitor that very closely. Shipping costs, shipping times are something that we're also monitoring.
And then on the tax negotiations, I know that the deal's still being hammered out and might not actually come together, so you guys may not have been able to do a full analysis of the impact, though if you have, feel free to share it with us. But I'm wondering how the White House is sort of balancing the potential impacts. Obviously, a child tax credit is something the president's fought for. The R&D credits against the worry about inflation and how it could kind of counteract some of the progress that you've seen on inflation.
So we have consistently pointed to how effective President Biden's child tax credit policy was for lifting millions of American children out of poverty, and the president has consistently said that he wants to see the refundability, the availability of that child tax credit for low and moderate income families extended. So, we are very much hoping that we can see a balanced package, but what is critical for the president is that the child tax credit be extended and particularly be made available for lower and moderate income families because it's so powerful in reducing child poverty.
You spent a lot of